In this Tech Talk, I am speaking with Jim Fontaine, Bakery Field Sales Manager for Reiser. And we are going to be discussing the benefits of automation in today's labor shortage. Let's just start out by talking about that state of labor and workforce in the baking industry. From your perspective, what are you hearing from your customers? Overall, what are the biggest labor gaps that you're seeing in bakery operations?
Sure. So bakery operations always have struggled with fulfilling labor, right, needs usually, but more so now since the pandemic has happened. See wide shortages in production departments, packaging departments, sanitation departments. Typically, I'm hearing that 30% of the workforce might not show up one day. So Can you imagine? Yeah, it's pretty impactful. So if you can imagine running a fresh bakery and you're waiting to see who shows up and what lines are you going to run today versus what lines you're not going to run, that's pretty nerve-wracking for any manager.
That's a hard choice.
Yeah, very, very hard choice. And it's a little easier for a facility that's running a frozen program, but they still are challenged. We walk into, they're still faced with what are we running today and what orders are we going to fulfill and what orders are we going to show up.
Automation is obviously a very valuable resource to accommodate for a lack of labor, Jim, but it seems like a lot of bakers might assume that the term automation only means robots and it's a tool that's reserved for huge operations. But who is automation best suited for?
So the short answer is automation is good for everyone, right? But a lot of times the intermediate bakers kind of shy away because they look at the initial cost or they're worried about how are they going to maintain the equipment and so on. So they have to remember, though, that every baker can use some form of automation. And that could mean as simple as just a conveyor. It could be a single out depositor. It could be a lift or a hoist that's bringing the dough from one location or filling from one location that was manually done, now can be done automated, making that task easier. And that's part of automation too. A lot of people think, well, automation, robots. No, it doesn't necessarily mean that. Automation could be just making that function or that task easier for that employee. So it might not be even removing the employee, but you have made that position easier for that employee and to retain that person.
I was going to say, so then that's good for worker retention when you're making their lives a little bit easier.
I've been in the industry now for 38 years, and I never thought I would be saying the same story that I heard 38 years ago from some of the old timers when I worked in the bakery of carrying, hey, I used to carry 2 100-pound bags of cornmeal from this side of the bakery to the other side of the bakery. And, you kids today, you don't work like we did. And here we are 38 years later. And now I'm saying those same stories to the younger people coming in. And it's true because we've taken those and we've kind of went from 100 pounds. We went to 50 pounds. In some cases, we went down to 25 pounds. So we made a weaker workforce, if you will. That's where automation also comes into play, that you can now find something, a task that can be done easier by, again, maybe just a simple conveyor. Automation is for all, not just the large guys.
Let's talk about some specific examples of Reiser equipment, such as the first thing that comes to mind is the VMAG. Those types of tools that help a bakery to crank out a product when it's short on staff. Like, what can Reiser do to help those bakers who are faced with the decision of what line am I going to turn on today?
Sure. So Reiser has many different tools in its toolbox to help bakers. Again, like I said earlier, it could be just a depositor, right? But we can take something that somebody is doing by hand. May it be depositing cookies or scaling out some breads, putting fillings on something. We can automate that. We can take that task and make that task much easier. So with our VMAG equipment, again, we can do depositing, portioning. But we go beyond just that, right? So not just let's say we can portion the dough ball, we can round the dough ball for you. But let's say it's a pizza dough, and you want to go downstream. But we also have equipment that can help process some of those toppings, right? We can dice it, we can chop it, we can shred it, And then we could also apply it automatically on top of that, where you see a lot of these places where a lot of people on the lines doing this all by hand. So some of the other things that we do is not only do we portion, but now we can go from the portion piece, we can go to the pan, right? So we can shuttle product into a cavity, onto a sheet pan. We can deposit directly on a baking surface. With gluten-free products, we can then deposit directly into those pans, not using a shuttle.
And I think, the early assumptions were that automation is intended to reduce headcount and manufacturers are going to eliminate jobs. And that really isn't the goal, especially now with a shortage of labor. It helps accommodate for a lack of labor, and it helps make the lives of the labor that's in the plant much more manageable and makes their job easier and a little bit more enjoyable, right?
Yeah, that is one of the goals. We can take processes and make them simpler, easier, faster. We have machines that can, cook, cool, liquefy, can mix, blend, all these things that some bakers, again, were taking multiple tasks and multiple people, and it was hard for them to do. Now we can, still need the people, but you reduce that time and you can process those materials much faster. And then free that employee up to do something else.
So, Jim, what are some of the other specific benefits besides the helping the workers or accommodating for the labor? What are some of the other specific benefits that come with incorporating automation into a bakery operation?
Sure. So by automating, labor reduction is one part of it, but you're also increasing efficiency, right? You're increasing efficiency. In most cases, your units per minute are going up. Your waste is going down. You may also, as a baker now, by taking on the automation task of it, saying, well, I'm going faster. I have a more efficient line. Now you might have to go after some new business that in the past you might have not, and said, well, I really can't fulfill those orders. I can't do it. But now it's opened up other avenues, right? Where you can go after that business that in the past maybe you haven't. And or maybe you haven't because you weren't cost competitive, where now your labor cost is under control, your units per minute are up, so that cost per unit has come down, leaving you more margin, more gross margin to sit down with buyers and negotiate, into that program. You have a little more money to work with.
It's a much deeper ROI and it's multifaceted. It's not just a simple type of calculation, right?
Right. No, exactly. Many more factors should be considered. Like in the past, well, we look at it as a 5-year, return on investment. Then it went to 3 years, right? And then people were like, well, I want to get it down to 1 or 2. But I think that's really should be thrown away. I'm not saying that just because we're an equipment manufacturer, but because of the world we are in today, right? Mm-hmm. It's just you have to look at it different. Is it better to run the line than not run the line? You know what I mean? Is a line sitting still generating revenue for you? No, it's not. So we have to look at all the aspects of automation, what it does for you. You can control that cost, right? I look at when you're managing a bakery, you have all these commodity costs and you're trying to cost average, and nobody has a crystal ball. So you really don't know what those ingredient costs are, right? But on this side in the plant, you can control your labor costs. You can control what you're doing inside that plant. And so, by investing, does the payback have to be 1 year, 2 years? The payback really is every day. The payback is every day you're running and producing. Mm-hmm. That's the payback. So,
Jim, what is the easiest way for a baker to learn more or get started with some of Reiser's automation?
Reiser has 5 regions throughout the United States where we have a group of salesmen and a group of technical experts that can help you with your needs. They'll sit down with you and go over what you are trying to achieve and come up with a solution for you. So the best way is, you can contact us online. You can email me directly.
Great. Well, Jim, it was so nice to talk to you and have this discussion over such an important topic, and it's great to learn how Reiser can help. So thanks for your time today.
You're welcome, Joni. Thank you for having me.